It's been a minute since I reviewed a stand-up comedy special, and that's because Ty Rivera indirectly called me and my peers out. See, Ty is a stand-up comedian, and so when he said that there are a bunch of people doing reviews of stand-up comedy that don't understand the art form, I took it to heart. In fact, it took me a long time to realize just why it is that I feel qualified to do these critiques. See, I'm a fictionist at heart, and I've spent the better part of 15 years studying writing, storycraft, and the art of comedy and humorism to elevate those things. Storytelling can take nearly infinite forms, but there are things that do in fact make a piece of writing either objectively good or bad. No, I am not a professional stand-up comedian, but, arguably, neither is Ty Rivera anymore. LOL. No shade to the absolute best LGBTQ comedian in the world, of course. I'm simply stating that's why I feel okay to do this. Anyway, I've been getting into a podcast called The Regs in the past few months, which was a segue I took from Story Wars. To be honest, I never saw myself as a Bobby Kelly, Louis J. Gomez, Joe List kind of guy. But I graduated from the College of Red Bar earlier this year, and Mike's love for Louis J. Gomez is probably what prompted my investigating of these shows. And after hearing literally every episode of both The Regs and Story Wars, I find myself, despite my preconceived notions, a fan of Louis J. Gomez. So, when he announced that he's got a special out, directed by the aforementioned and previously covered on the channel, Bobby Kelly, I had to do a review. If you find my takes to be out of touch, educate me. Otherwise, suck it! Now let's check out this fucking special, shall we?
Ladies and gentlemen, Louis J. Gomez!
The thing he's doing with his hands is called skank hands, I believe, and it's from his flagship podcast, Legion of Skanks. See, I still find Dave Smith completely unbearable, so I haven't ventured that far down into the depths. But for any skanks here in the comments, please explain why you're so into Legion of Skanks over shows like Story Wars or The Regs. Who knows? Maybe you'll convince me to check it out.
So I took an Uber to get here tonight. I took an Uber Black, which is like the high-end, expensive Uber. You know, I know you guys are all probably poor, but this is like, you know, they give you like a nicer car. It's got great ratings, you know. But when you get into an Uber Black, they ask you questions, you know, like they ask you your temperature preferences for the car, and then they ask you your conversation preferences. Like, do you want to have a conversation with your Uber driver? Who the fuck wants to have a conversation with their Uber driver? What type of lunatic is like, yes, I want to talk to my Uber driver. I want to see what he thinks about things. What am I going to talk to my Uber driver about? Be like, so, how's Africa? If my Uber driver says anything to me, I one-star him immediately. I report him to Uber. If he looks at me in the rearview mirror, I was like, he was trying to molest my son. He was a pedophile. I'll make sure he never gets any other job for the rest of his life. Don't even fucking look at me if you're an Uber driver. I love eating pussy. It's my favorite.
Starting it off with a more relatable joke like an Uber driver-based take is a good idea. It helps the crowd relate to the storyteller early on and kind of humanizes the performer. Ubers are one of those very base approaches to subjects, but it's not as bad as, say, airplane stuff with regards to being cliche. So we'll take it. No real big pops on the first joke, and it segues into the next joke in a clunky way that seems more incidentally rushed than intentionally juxtapositional, which is to say, it's just two subjects that don't really go together gracefully. But the two subjects aren't so unrelated that it's funny. Non sequiturs can be hilarious, as they themselves are a subversion of expectation, but I do not think that's what happened here, at least not in practice. Maybe that's how he wrote it, but it doesn't really scan. Now, I went into this wanting to like the special, but we're off to a bit of a rough start here. Joke 2 is about how much he likes eating pussy, and it leads to Lewis committing a cardinal sin of 2025 comedy.
I would never stop eating your pussy. I love eating pussy so much that I'm afraid that I'm going to get mouth cancer like Michael Douglas.
For those of you who don't know, this is a bit that Lewis has talked about on multiple podcasts, which is what I mean by cardinal sin. You can't use your podcast to drive people to your stand-up and also use it to work out your new bits. Because then, who's the joke for? The random people who happen to pay $50 a ticket to accidentally stumble into your special taping? It's not a good sign that we're burning through these subjects so early, but maybe he's just warming up.
Whoa, jaw cancer?
Is that the one that died?
No,
They're both dead.
they're both gone.
Sister
One died
died
from a
first.
tiger.
Jaw cancer from eating pussy?
That's good. Oh, no.
To be clear, if this were all I was talking about, it wouldn't be a bad thing. Organically coming up with a premise based on something you said on a podcast is totally acceptable and would be weird if you didn't do it. But it's not like jaw cancer from eating pussy was the inciting idea that became a joke on this special.
Holy shit, Madison Square Garden. Wow. Wow. I'll tell you guys, I love eating pussy. I love it. Thank you, ladies. Thank you. And some guys, thank you. I love eating pussy so much that I'm afraid that I'm gonna get mouth cancer like Michael Douglas. Do you guys remember how Michael Douglas got mouth cancer a few years ago from eating Catherine Zeta-Jones's pussy? That was a big news story. That actually happened. I can't get it out of my... Anytime I go down to my girlfriend, I can't even get to the alphabet. I'm like, A, B, C, C, cancer, fuck, I can't do this anymore. But here's the thing, I love eating pussy so much that even if I got cancer, I would still continue to do it. I would still continue to eat pussy. I'd be like that woman in that commercial in the 90s who had throat cancer, but she was smoking a cigarette through the fucking hole in her neck.
Sorry that was edited so strangely. The Kill Tony people are genuine ballbusters when it comes to copyright striking we, the tiny creators. Anyway, Lewis has apparently been telling this joke for quite a while, and to be fair, I misremembered where I heard him tell it first. I've been going over the last year and a half's worth of Kill Tony over the past month or so, and I got Lewis telling this joke at MSG confused with him saying it on the Regs or Story Wars. I'm only not deleting this section because it took me a whole day to research that, and I feel it contributes to the video. Anyway, let's get back to Lewis's special, shall we? Lewis finishes his joke about mouth cancer, where he does an impression of what it would sound like if he didn't have a bottom jaw. It's kind of South Parky, to be honest. Anyway, then he gets into a bit about how men are much funnier than women because we developed that trait in middle school and high school as a trick to get laid. Whereas women, they don't need that skill because they have a vagina.
I want to hear more about your... Guys are hilarious. Like, this guy's hilarious, I guarantee it. This guy's like, what's your name, dude? Angelo. Angelo, can I use you for an experiment? Guys, clap it up for Angelo. Give him some love right now. Come up here, Angelo. What's up, man? Angelo, what do you do for a living?
I do condo watches.
You do what?
Condo watches.
Condo watches. I feel like you just picked two random words and put them together. I don't know what the fuck that could possibly mean. You watch condos? Are you a peeping Tom? What the fuck are you?
Nah, you just make sure people's AC and shit doesn't go out.
Okay, just some fucking blue collar shit. Good for you, dude. All right, hell yeah, man. And you're not a comedian though, right?
Nope.
And have we ever met before?
Nope.
We've never done this, obviously.
Nope.
All right, so Angelo does condo watches, not a comedian, never met me before. I'm gonna show you how hilarious guys are together. We just met, we've never even done this. Watch the dynamic between two dudes. Watch. Wang. Give it a little wang, dude. Come on, get in there. Give it a feel. No, feel it. Touch it, Angelo. Stop being gay. There we go. Look at that. Let me get yours now, Angelo. There we go. Wait. Don't be shy. It's hilarious. Look, I'm gonna rub his balls. There's his balls right there. There's his taint. I'm rubbing his taint right now. He's rubbing my head. Oh, you're getting hard, you homo. Sit down. What's wrong with you? Come on, Angelo. Stop being gay. One more time for Angelo. Do you see how hilarious guys are? Women, not so much, right? Like, watch, miss, what's your name? Get up here for a minute. I want to do an experiment with you.
That's a fantastic joke. The setup was long, but it ends up being worth it when it pays out. He allows us to think that the bit was that he was just fondling some fan named Angelo. I laughed aloud when I first heard this and had to share it. The clip ends 7 minutes and 30 seconds into the special, so I'm going to jump around a little more on the script here, or this is going to be another hour-long joint. So Lewis goes on to talk about how he did that experiment with a black dude, which I guess was a mistake because, well, anatomical stereotypes that I find offensive, but not for the right reasons. LOL.
Oh, I made myself sad.
Then he goes on to talk about relationships and cheating and gives some advice about how iPhones work. Then he talks about his childhood, which, for the record, was crazy traumatic. Lewis's father was stabbed to death when he was a little kid, and his mother was an abusive drug addict who also died when Lewis was young. It's a part of what makes Lewis endearing, honestly. His past turned him into this tough guy, and he's done a great job of trotting the line between taking himself too seriously and making a character out of the more ridiculous personality quirks that we all have in us. Lewis then goes on to talk about how women have to constantly be on their guard because things like the movie Taken really happen. Let's take a peek.
Lives being creepy to them, that's a real thing that women have to deal with, which sucks. You know what I'm saying? Like, to this day, women still get trafficked. Like that movie Taken, that's a real thing that actually happens in this country every single day to women. Isn't that fucked up? You know? And you have to have a dad with a special set of skills to come and save you. You can't have a mom with a special set of skills because she'll show up and we'll take both you bitches. Now you're both taken. But miss, if you go to the bar with your friends, right, and you have to go to the bathroom, you have to bring your drink to the bathroom with you and make sure no creepy guy puts something in your drink and takes you, right? It's a real worry of yours. If I go to the bar with my friends and I have to go to the bathroom, I leave my drink right on the center of the bar. I'm like, somebody better put something in my fucking drink right now. I'm going to the bathroom to do drugs. When I come back, there better be more drugs in my drink. I'm trying to get taken tonight. Let's fucking go. Thank you. Thank you. And that's true male privilege, right? Bro, you wake up tomorrow, your asshole's bleeding, you're in Romania. You're like, did I get fucking taken last night? Bro, I got taken again. This is fucking crazy. Now you're gonna fight your way out of a castle? That's just a great story for the podcast. That's all that is. I'm dating now, I'm doing.
Pretty funny premise. But I gotta say, the transitions aren't really landing for me. But for that one exception, Lewis's jokes aren't ending in a big pop. To be clear, I'm not saying that they aren't funny. I'm pointing out that because they are ending in uproarious laughter, which he does get throughout the set, just not always during the punchlines of his material, there is no laughter to cover transitions between jokes. His options then become wait it out and pretend there is laughter, leaving everyone sitting there in expectant silence, or to just do what he's doing and press on without transition. He did it in his first joke, and he did it just now. I don't really know how one would go about improving that other than not front-loading his jokes like Lewis tends to. It isn't a deal breaker, but it's not coming off as graceful. It almost lifts the curtains a bit and shows us how nervous he is to be doing the special. But he starts to loosen up, and I think he's feeling himself when he lays this little son pun down on us, which is a pun regarding his son James, for those of you who weren't picking up what I'm laying down.
It's a game of Clue that turns into a game of Sorry real quick, you know what I'm saying? He's also got a bigger dick than me now, too, which is fucked up. My 12-year-old son, I saw him get out of the shower the other day. I was like, fuck. He can't have that over me, you know? And I can't let him know it. Now I get out of the shower, I'm like, no, get out. What are you doing? Stop it. Give me my privacy. Yeah, he's got his mother's cock. It's pretty brutal. His stepfather's black. Maybe he has his stepfather's cock. Maybe that's what's going on. He's got a black stepdad. It bothered me at first. When they first got together, it did bother me because I was insecure. But he's a great guy. Like, we became friends. And he's a good dude. He taught my son how to play baseball, which is incredible because I'm not good at sports, you know? Yeah, black guy teaches your son how to play baseball. Some would call him a real Jackie robbing son.
Also, I've got to say that there's a counterexample to the bad transitions remark I made before. All these concepts glide pretty effortlessly together, and it's well written in that way. I'm also a sucker for puns, but that's why I included the joke, not a contributing factor to my praise of his transitions. So far, we've got a pretty solid special, even if I'm not rolling on the floor laughing at it. Anyway, it's about 10 minutes later in the special, and Lewis is asking women what their minimum height is for a boyfriend.
Just fucking headbutt a coffee table. What do you say, miss?
I'm 5'7", so probably 5'9".
5'9". This bitch is the height Nazi. Holy shit. You should have said, he must be 5'9". This tall. You are tall. So I went skiing a couple years ago for the first time. I know this is...
You see what I mean about these transitions? They're not inexcusable. They're not even quite rushed. It's just there isn't any transitional laughter from the punchline to carry him into his next premise. It comes off really clunky, even if the jokes themselves can carry weight. I'll try not to bring up the transitions again because it's going to keep happening, but I do see them as the biggest problem in the special itself, mechanically speaking. Lewis then goes on to tell a very funny story about him going skiing and getting into it with some skiers. As a lifelong snowboarder, I do get that. But Lewis's take on the whole thing was coming from someone that couldn't ski, but is a tough guy. It's honestly a refreshing story, and I hope you go check out this special. This video is in no way intended to be a replacement for watching the actual special, so be sure to listen up to that one, legal types. Anyway, I don't want to include the closing joke, and the story that leads to the joke takes up the last 10 minutes of the special, so I'm just going to call it, let's go over what we think about the whole thing, shall we? Then we'll do something we haven't done in a long time, and we'll give this thing an Eek score. First off, my thoughts. Accounting for the transitions, which I think were the absolute low point of this piece of work, I find that I didn't love You're Making This Worse. I tried not to let this affect the score, but part of it for me is that I don't really buy the character Lewis plays on stage. It's like a more hokey, cheesy version of Lewis than I've become a fan of in watching shows like Story Wars and The Regs. It's not Lewis's fault. In fact, I think this will someday be a sort of classic phenomenon where, in a twist of intentions and fate, people become fans of comedians through their podcasts when they're closer to actually being themselves, showing their own genuine personalities. Then, when finally the podcast performs its intended function and leads fans over to the comedian's stand-up shows, or in this case, special, fans of the podcast aren't happy with the persona the comedian plays on stage. Because in many cases, the podcast persona of some comedians is so different from their on-stage persona that it's almost offensive. Many of us fall in love with these types of podcasts due to their genuine tones and organic, real-time stories of someone's life. That leads to stand-up comedy, by contrast, feeling inorganic and disingenuous just by its very nature. I give this special a 6.5, which, trust me, is a passing grade, but not great. In my opinion, Small Ball was a better special, and I Didn't Promise You a Rose Garden by Joe DeRosa blows it out of the water. But, to be fair, in terms of cohesiveness, cleverness, overall flow, and the actual substance of the material itself, Joe DeRosa's special was the best I saw all year. Ironically, I'm actually more of a fan of Lewis than a DeRosa kind of guy, but for the reasons I've listed here today, I cannot argue with the numbers. That said, I will probably do a review of I Didn't Promise You a Rose Garden and point out everything that, both in my opinion and objectively, makes it good. Anyway, this has been Critical Leaks, and in the meantime, be nice.